3 different women just walked into court with identical stories about missing money, and the judge believed every single word. $900,000 vanished, not lost, not mismanaged, vanished through a series of deliberate transfers that Kody Brown apparently thought nobody was tracking, except Christine was tracking it, Janelle was tracking it, Meri was tracking it. And when they finally compared notes, the pattern became impossible to ignore. The court documents are devastating. We're talking bank statements, with Kody's signature authorizing transfers to accounts the other wives couldn't access. Property deeds that mysteriously changed names without family discussion. Asset movements timed perfectly to avoid detection during filming breaks. This isn't speculation whispered in Facebook groups. This is evidence presented under oath with receipts attached. Here's the part that should make every woman who's ever shared finances sit up straight. These women didn't even realize they were building a case together. Christine noticed money disappearing from joint accounts in 2021. Janelle flagged suspicious property transactions around the same time. Meri had been documenting financial irregularities for years, but thought she was the only one experiencing it. They were each following separate breadcrumb trails that led to the same destination. The moment they coordinated, game over. Sources close to the proceedings describe a courtroom scene that felt more like a financial crimes investigation than a family dispute. 3 ex-wives presenting matching timelines, bank representatives confirming transaction patterns, property attorneys explaining how titles transferred without proper disclosure, and Kody Brown sitting there watching his carefully constructed money management system get dismantled line by line. TLC cameras captured portions of this legal battle, which means the network filmed a reality star getting exposed for the kind of financial manipulation that usually only surfaces during fraud investigations. The footage allegedly shows Kody's face when the first bank statement got entered into evidence, then the second, then the third, each one confirming what the ex-wives had been saying all along. The $900,000 figure keeps appearing because that's what investigators could definitively track. Could there be more? Possibly, but prosecutors and attorneys focused on what they could prove with documentation, and that number alone represents serious money. That's generational wealth for most families. That's security, education, retirement, emergency funds. And according to court testimony, it moved in ways that specifically benefited certain family members while leaving others financially vulnerable. What the judge saw was a pattern: money flowing out of shared family resources and into protected accounts. Property acquired through joint efforts but titled to benefit selective parties. Financial decisions made unilaterally despite the communal structure that supposedly defined this family. The complexity of a plural marriage arrangement being weaponized to hide where money actually went. Every woman who's balanced a checkbook while someone emptied it knows exactly what this looks like. And the ruling that followed, nobody saw it coming. Not the fans, not the family, possibly not even the 3 ex-wives who walked in hoping for accountability but got something far more dramatic. The judge banned Kody Brown from Coyote Pass entirely. Banned from his own family's land. The word hit the courtroom like a gavel strike, and allegedly, Kody's face went completely blank. The judge's ruling didn't mince words. After reviewing the financial evidence, the testimony from 3 ex-wives, and the documented pattern of asset manipulation, the court determined that Kody Brown could no longer set foot on Coyote Pass. The very property that was supposed to represent the family's polygamous dream, the land they talked about for years on camera, the acreage where they planned to build connected homes, was now legally off limits to the patriarch who'd controlled access to everything else. Let that sink in for a moment. A judge looked at the evidence and decided that Kody's presence on that property posed enough of a risk to financial assets and family welfare that a formal ban was warranted. This wasn't a suggestion. This wasn't a temporary restraining order pending further review. This was a court mandate with legal teeth. Sources who attended the proceedings described the moment as surreal. Kody apparently tried to argue that the land was family property, that he had rights as a co-owner, that decisions about access shouldn't be made without considering the whole picture. The judge reportedly let him finish, then calmly explained that the whole picture was exactly what the court had been reviewing, and that picture showed a clear pattern of one person making unilateral decisions that harmed the collective. The ban wasn't just symbolic. It came with specific enforcement mechanisms. Kody cannot conduct business on the property, cannot make decisions about development, cannot access any structures or improvements, cannot participate in family gatherings held there. The land that was supposed to be his kingdom became the one place he's legally prohibited from entering. TLC cameras were rolling when the verdict came down, which means this moment of total collapse exists on film. Multiple recaps from viewers who've seen leaked footage or attended tapings describe Kody sitting frozen while the judge outlined the terms. No dramatic outburst, no reality TV theatrics, just a man realizing that his financial maneuvering had consequences he clearly never anticipated. Robyn's reaction allegedly told a different story. Insiders whisper that she immediately understood the implications in ways Kody didn't seem to grasp. If he's banned from the property, who controls development decisions? Who manages the asset? Who determines what happens to land that still has his name attached to some of the financial documentation, but his physical presence prohibited? The ex-wives walked out of that courtroom with something they'd never had before: real power. Not the theoretical equal partnership that polygamy promised, but actual legal authority over a tangible asset that Kody can no longer touch. Christine, Janelle, and Meri went from financially vulnerable to collectively holding the keys to the family's most significant property investment. And Coyote Pass isn't just land. It's the symbol of everything Kody promised and failed to deliver. Connected homes that never got built, equal relationships that never materialized, shared resources that somehow always benefited one wife more than others. Now he can't even visit. Robyn Brown took the stand, and the courtroom went silent. The favorite wife, the one who'd always maintained she knew nothing about financial irregularities, the woman who'd spent years positioning herself as simply trying to keep the family together while everyone else created drama. And then she admitted to helping hide money and property deeds. The confession allegedly came during cross-examination when attorneys presented her with documentation she couldn't explain away: bank signatures that matched hers, property transfer forms she'd notarized, email chains discussing asset protection strategies. According to sources who witnessed the testimony, Robyn tried several explanations before finally breaking down and confirming what the evidence already showed. She knew, she participated. She helped orchestrate the financial shell game that kept certain assets protected while leaving the other wives exposed. The breakdown was reportedly visceral. Not the theatrical tears that Sister Wives viewers have seen in countless episodes, but genuine distress as someone who'd carefully maintained an image for over a decade watched it shatter in real time. Court observers describe Robyn crying so hard that proceedings paused while she composed herself. When she continued testifying, her voice was barely audible. Here's what makes this moment so devastating. Robyn had positioned herself as the peacemaker throughout the show's entire run, the wife who just wanted harmony, the one trying to hold relationships together while others walked away. Her carefully curated narrative presented her as someone caught in the middle of family conflict she didn't create and couldn't control. But the court documents tell a different story. They show someone who actively participated in financial decisions that disadvantaged the other wives, someone who signed documents that moved assets into protected accounts. Someone who, according to testimony, knew exactly where money was going and helped ensure it stayed there. The property deed revelation hit especially hard. Multiple parcels that should have been titled as family assets were instead structured to benefit specific individuals, and Robyn's signature appeared on the paperwork that made those arrangements legal. She wasn't an innocent bystander. She was a co-architect of the system that the other three wives were now exposing. What happened next allegedly shocked everyone in the courtroom, including Kody. Sources claim that during a break in testimony, Robyn told her attorney she was done protecting Kody, done defending financial decisions she now understood had legal implications, done being the favorite wife in a system that was collapsing around both of them. Whether she actually left Kody remains unverified, but insiders whisper that the courthouse conversation marked a turning point. For the first time in their relationship, Robyn apparently chose self-preservation over loyalty. The woman who'd stood by Kody through every scandal, every family explosion, every public criticism, suddenly realized that standing by him might mean going down with him. And here's the thing about courtroom confessions. They're under oath, they're on record. They can't be walked back with a carefully edited TLC segment or an Instagram apology. Whatever Robyn admitted on that stand became permanent legal testimony. The favorite wife just became the star witness against the man she defended for years. Christine, Janelle, and Meri walked into that courtroom like they'd been planning this coordinated strike for months, and according to people close to the situation, they absolutely had been. Three women who couldn't agree on Thanksgiving dinner suddenly presented matching evidence folders. Three wives who'd spent years in documented conflict on reality television showed up with synchronized testimony. Three individuals who'd each walked away from the marriage at different times for different reasons found themselves telling identical stories about financial manipulation. The coordination wasn't accidental. Sources allege that Christine reached out to Janelle first, sometime in early 2023, with questions about property transactions she couldn't make sense of. Janelle had her own list of suspicious transfers. When they compared notes, patterns emerged that neither could explain away as simple miscommunication or polygamous family complexity. That's when they brought Meri into the conversation. Meri, who'd been documenting financial irregularities for years but thought she was alone in noticing them. Meri, who'd been painted as the bitter ex-wife clinging to a marriage that was clearly over. Meri, who had receipts going back further than anyone realized. Together, they built a timeline that prosecutors described as devastatingly thorough. Christine's documentation covered the Flagstaff years. Janelle tracked property and land deals. Meri provided historical context from the Las Vegas era that established pattern behavior. When attorneys laid it all out in court, the financial manipulation wasn't just proven, it was irrefutable. The testimony itself reportedly followed a strategic sequence. Christine went first, establishing the recent timeline and explaining how she started noticing discrepancies. Her delivery was calm, factual, and included specific dollar amounts with corresponding dates. She brought bank statements, screenshots of financial discussions, and documentation of requests for transparency that went unanswered. Janelle followed with the property evidence. She explained how family land decisions were supposedly made collectively, but somehow always resulted in titles that protected certain parties. She walked the court through Coyote Pass transactions that didn't add up, improvements paid for with joint funds but benefiting individual parcels, and development decisions made without full family input, despite claims of equal partnership. Then Meri delivered what court observers describe as the most damning testimony. She provided historical context, showing this wasn't new behavior, it was established pattern. Financial decisions made unilaterally, assets moved without disclosure. Contributions from wives treated as joint resources, while earnings from certain ventures remained protected. She'd been tracking it all, documenting quietly while everyone assumed she was just the jealous first wife. The three of them together created an unshakable narrative. This wasn't three bitter ex-wives inventing grievances. This was three financial partners presenting evidence of systematic manipulation in a business arrangement disguised as a religious family structure. And the united front sent a clear message that resonated far beyond that courtroom. Every woman who's ever been told she's imagining financial problems, that she's too emotional about money, that she doesn't understand how complex finances work, saw three women refuse to accept those excuses anymore. They came with evidence, they came prepared, and they came together. The power shift was seismic. The on-camera arguments were fake, and that revelation might be more damaging than the financial fraud. Court testimony and insider reports allege that Kody and Robyn staged conflicts specifically for TLC cameras while conducting very real financial maneuvers off-screen. The tears viewers watched? Manufactured. The reconciliation attempts? Scripted. The family meeting blow-ups that became viral moments? Allegedly choreographed to maintain network interest while hiding what was actually happening with family assets. Think about every explosive sister-wife scene you've watched over the past few years. The dramatic confrontations about family time, the arguments over holiday schedules, the tense discussions about moving to Flagstaff. According to sources close to the production, many of those moments were carefully constructed performances designed to give TLC the drama they wanted, while directing attention away from financial decisions happening simultaneously. Here's how the system allegedly worked. Kody and Robyn would create on-camera conflict that focused on emotional family dynamics, relationship struggles, or territorial disputes between wives. Meanwhile, off-camera, they were reportedly making significant financial moves, property transfers during filming breaks, asset restructuring between seasons, bank account changes that happened while everyone was focused on who was invited to Christmas dinner. The stage drama served multiple purposes. It kept TLC invested in renewing the show, which meant continued income. It maintained viewer engagement through manufactured controversy. And critically, it created a smokescreen that made tracking real financial activity nearly impossible for the other wives who were already struggling to understand where money was going in a complex plural marriage structure. Court documents allegedly reference specific episodes where on-screen arguments about family dynamics aired while financial transactions with much bigger implications happened off-screen during the same time period. One example that surfaced involved a dramatic on-camera fight about Kody's time distribution among wives that aired while property deeds were being quietly transferred into protected names. What this means for longtime Sister Wives viewers is uncomfortable. How many emotional moments were genuine? How many relationship struggles were real versus manufactured for ratings? The show positioned itself as authentic reality television, documenting a real plural family, navigating real challenges. But if court allegations are accurate, significant portions were performance art designed to hide financial manipulation. The exposure has fans revisiting old episodes with new perspective. That argument about the rental versus buying, possibly staged while real estate decisions happen differently off-camera. The tears about feeling neglected, Maybe genuine emotion weaponized for television while financial neglect was the actual issue. The reconciliation attempts that went nowhere? Potentially scripted content while real reconciliation around finances never happened. TLC's position in all this remains unclear. Did the network know they were filming staged content? Were producers aware that family drama was being manufactured to hide financial activity? Or were they as deceived as viewers, thinking they were documenting authentic family dynamics while a very different story unfolded behind the scenes? What's certain is that the revelation fundamentally changes how Sister Wives content can be consumed going forward. Every scene now carries the question, is this real, or is this another performance protecting financial interests? The fiscal dragon wasn't just hoarding money, it was breathing smoke to hide where the treasure was actually buried. Let's set down the gossip teacup for a moment and talk about the patterns that played out on national television while most of us missed them. Because the manipulation tactics Kody allegedly used aren't unique to polygamous families or reality TV stars. They're textbook financial control moves that show up in relationships everywhere. Red flag checklist. See if any ring a bell. First, complexity as camouflage. The more complicated the financial structure, the easier it becomes to hide where money actually goes. In the Brown family's case, multiple wives, multiple households, and multiple income streams created built-in confusion. In regular relationships, this shows up as unnecessarily complex account structures, business arrangements that don't need to be so convoluted, or explanations about money that require a finance degree to understand. If you can't follow where shared money is going, that's not because you're bad with finances. That's often by design. Second, unilateral decisions about joint resources. Court testimony revealed Kody making significant financial moves without full family input, despite the supposed equal partnership structure. Watch for this in any shared financial situation. One person deciding how joint funds get invested, spent, or protected without meaningful input from partners who contributed to those resources. The key word is meaningful. Being informed after decisions are made isn't the same as being included in making them. Third, asymmetric access to information. The Sister Wives evidence showed some family members had complete financial transparency, while others got partial pictures or were actively blocked from seeing full account details. In any partnership, if one person can see everything while another has limited access to shared financial information, that's a power imbalance that enables exploitation. Fourth, staged transparency. This one's particularly insidious. Kody and Robyn allegedly performed openness for cameras while hiding actual financial activity off-screen. In relationships, this looks like someone who talks extensively about money, seems willing to discuss finances, maybe even initiates financial conversations, but somehow those discussions never include the specific details that would reveal what's actually happening. Lots of words, minimal substance. Fifth, gaslighting around financial concerns. When the wives raised questions about money, they were reportedly told they were being dramatic, didn't understand the complexity, or were creating problems where none existed. Every woman who's been told she's too emotional about finances or doesn't understand how this works, while her gut screams that something's wrong, knows this pattern. Trust that instinct. Sixth, protected versus exposed. Some assets in the Brown family were carefully shielded, while others remained vulnerable. In any financial partnership, watch who's protected. If things go wrong, whose name is on the mortgage, whose credit is on the line, who has retirement accounts and who doesn't, who can access emergency funds and who can't. What happened to Christine, Janelle, and Meri didn't happen overnight. It built systematically over years through small decisions that compounded into massive financial disparity. They finally recognized the pattern and brought receipts. The lesson? Document everything. Compare notes with other people in shared financial arrangements. And if the money situation is too complex to understand, demand simplification. Confusion serves someone's interests, and it probably isn't yours. And then the fifth wife rumor surfaced in court documents, and suddenly every timeline gap from the past few years started making terrible sense. The allegations didn't come from tabloids or Facebook speculation. They emerged during legal proceedings when attorneys questioned certain financial transactions that didn't align with the four-wife household structure viewers knew, money moving in patterns that suggested additional obligations, travel expenses that didn't match family trips shown on camera, property arrangements that seemed designed to accommodate someone outside the documented marriages. Sources close to the case claim that testimony referenced a secret relationship that Kody allegedly maintained separately from his public marriages. The exact nature of this relationship remains murky, but the financial footprint was apparently clear enough to raise questions under oath. Bank records showing regular transfers to accounts not connected to Christine, Janelle, Meri, or Robyn, credit card charges in locations none of the known wives visited, expenses that suggested maintaining a separate household or relationship that never appeared on Sister Wives. The timeline is what makes this particularly damning. Some of the alleged financial activity supporting this mystery relationship reportedly occurred during the exact period when Kody was publicly lamenting his strained marriages with the other wives. While Christine was expressing feeling neglected, while Janelle was questioning the family structure, while Meri was stuck in limbo, Kody may have been directing energy and resources towards someone the viewing public never knew existed. Social media detectives have been working overtime trying to identify this alleged fifth wife. Reddit threads are filled with timeline analysis, photo evidence from Kody's social media, and witness accounts from people who claim to have seen him with an unfamiliar woman in various locations. Some sleuths point to gaps in the sister wives' filming schedule that coincide with suspicious financial activity. Others have flagged social media posts from Kody that seem to reference experiences none of the four wives shared. What makes these rumors particularly explosive is the legal context. This isn't gossip whispered between fans. These are allegations that surface during court proceedings, where evidence standards matter. Attorneys don't typically bring up secret relationships in financial fraud cases unless there's documentation supporting the claim. The fact that this came up at all suggests there's more substance than typical reality TV speculation. For Christine, Janelle, and Meri, this revelation allegedly added insult to injury. Not only were they dealing with financial manipulation within the known family structure, but resources may have been diverted to support a relationship they knew nothing about. Every conversation about fair distribution of time and money takes on new meaning if there was a fifth person in the equation the whole time. Robyn's reaction to these allegations reportedly contributed to her courtroom breakdown. If she knew about this secret relationship, she was complicit in hiding it. If she didn't know, she was as deceived as the other wives despite being the supposed favorite. Either scenario destroys the image she'd carefully cultivated. The court hasn't released specific identifying information about this alleged fifth wife, but the financial evidence suggesting her existence is apparently compelling enough that attorneys felt confident raising it during legal proceedings. And Kody hasn't definitively denied it. Coyote Pass was never just land. It was the promise that polygamy could work if everyone just believed hard enough. The Brown family purchased that Flagstaff property in 2018 with grand visions. 4 connected homes on adjacent parcels where the wives could maintain independence while staying united as a family. Shared spaces for gatherings, proximity that would facilitate the togetherness. Kody kept insisting was central to their lifestyle. The land represented everything the family claimed to value about plural marriage: unity, equality, shared investment in a collective future. None of it ever materialized. Instead, Coyote Pass became a years-long source of conflict. Who would build first? How would parcels be divided? What design would each home follow? Who was contributing what financially to development? Every decision turned into a battle that played out across multiple sister wives seasons. The land that was supposed to unite them became another wedge, driving them apart. And now court documents reveal why those decisions were so contentious. The property wasn't structured as equally as viewers were led to believe. Titles were arranged to protect certain interests. Financial contributions from various wives didn't translate to equivalent ownership stakes. Development decisions that were supposedly collective were actually being made unilaterally. The whole setup was designed to look like equal partnership while functioning as controlled distribution. The symbolism of Kody being banned from this specific property is devastating. He can't set foot on the land that represented his vision of polygamous paradise, can't walk the parcels where homes were supposed to rise, can't participate in decisions about the asset he positioned as central to family unity. The dream he sold to 4 women, to TLC cameras, to viewers who wanted to believe plural marriage could work, is now literally off limits to him. For Christine, Janelle, and Meri, the ban represents vindication. They'd spent years being told they didn't understand the vision, weren't committed enough to the family dream, were causing problems by questioning decisions about land that was supposedly theirs too. Now a judge has essentially confirmed what they'd been saying all along: Kody's management of this asset was problematic enough to warrant legal prohibition. The practical implications are equally significant. If Kody can't access the property, who makes decisions about what happens to it? The ex-wives suddenly have authority they never had while married. They can sell, they can develop, they can sit on the land and do nothing, and Kody has no legal standing to stop them. Coyote Pass is also a stark reminder of what polygamy promised versus what it delivered. The lifestyle was supposed to provide women with sisterhood, shared resources, and collective power. Instead, it created a structure where one person could manipulate multiple partners simultaneously while maintaining control through complexity. The land meant to showcase plural marriage's strengths became evidence of its vulnerabilities. 4 homes never got built, but 3 women finally got justice on the property that was supposed to represent their shared future. The ban isn't just a legal ruling, it's the final admission that Kody's version of the dream was never going to work because it was never designed to benefit everyone equally. The internet exploded the moment court details started leaking, and the response wasn't just gossip. It was a movement. Facebook groups dedicated to sister wives went from casual episode discussions to organized advocacy practically overnight. Women who'd been watching this family for over a decade suddenly had language for what they'd been seeing: financial abuse, gaslighting, manipulation disguised as religious family structure. The court revelations gave validation to instincts viewers had been nursing for years. Reddit threads became investigative operations. Users cross-referenced testimony details with old episodes, flagging moments that now looked completely different with context. That argument about the Coyote Pass purchase in season 14? Totally different when you know about the hidden property arrangements. Robyn's tears about family unity in season 16? Harder to watch knowing what she allegedly admitted on the stand? The community turned into citizen journalists, documenting patterns and building timelines that paralleled what the ex-wives had presented in court. TLC's comment sections became war zones. Viewers demanded the network cancel the show, cut ties with Kody and Robyn, and stop profiting from what increasingly looked like documented abuse. The calls weren't coming from casual watchers. These were longtime fans who'd invested years following this family, and they felt betrayed. Not just by Kody, but by a network that continued platforming behavior that allegedly included financial fraud and staged manipulation. But the most powerful response came from women sharing their own stories. The court case became a catalyst for thousands of viewers to recognize similar patterns in their own lives. Women in conventional monogamous marriages describing financial control tactics identical to what the sister wives experienced. Divorcees explaining how they'd faced the same gaslighting when questioning money decisions. Current wives realizing they were living through early versions of what Christine, Janelle, and Meri documented. Group texts among friends turned into support networks. Book club conversations shifted to financial literacy discussions. PTA hallways buzzed with women comparing notes about joint account access and asset protection. The sister wives court case accidentally became a massive cultural lesson in recognizing financial manipulation, and women everywhere were paying attention. The solidarity extended beyond just identifying abuse patterns. Women started sharing practical resources: how to document financial transactions, what questions to ask about jointly titled property, when to consult attorneys about asset protection. The sister wives community transformed into an informal education network, teaching financial self-defense through the lens of a reality TV family's implosion. Christine, Janelle, and Meri became unlikely heroes to women who'd never practiced polygamy and never would. Their willingness to break silence, coordinate evidence, and face a courtroom became a blueprint for others contemplating similar action. The message resonated across demographics. You don't have to accept financial manipulation just because someone makes it complicated or claims you don't understand. Petitions circulated demanding TLC address the allegations. Hashtags trended calling for accountability. Viewer boycotts organized around the principle that networks shouldn't profit from documented abuse. The pressure mounted from every direction as what started as reality TV drama transformed into a genuine reckoning about financial abuse, media responsibility, and women's collective power. The national sisterhood of women who balance budgets while others make unilateral decisions found its voice. And it was deafening. So here we stand. Kody banned from Coyote Pass. Robyn's confession on permanent record. 3 ex-wives holding legal authority over the family's most significant asset, and TLC cameras that captured a reality TV empire collapsing in real time. The legal implications are still unfolding. Sources close to the case suggest Kody's attorneys are exploring appeal options, but overturning a ban requires proving the judge made legal errors, not just disagreeing with the ruling. Given the documented evidence that led to the decision, legal experts whisper that an appeal faces long odds. You can't simply argue your way out of bank statements and property transfer records that tell a clear story. Meanwhile, the ex-wives are reportedly coordinating their next moves with the same strategic precision they brought to the courtroom. Christine, Janelle, and Meri now control decisions about Coyote Pass development, sale, or preservation. They could sell the entire property and split proceeds. They could finally build those homes Kody promised, but without his involvement. They could let it sit undeveloped as a monument to broken promises. The power dynamic has completely inverted. Robyn's situation remains the biggest question mark. Did she actually leave Kody, or was the courthouse conversation just momentary panic? Unverified reports suggest she's distanced herself, possibly consulting her own legal counsel about protecting whatever assets remain in her name. If she stays, she's tied to a man who's legally banned from the family's primary property and facing potential financial fraud implications. If she leaves, she becomes the 4th wife to walk away from the marriage she once defended so fiercely. TLC faces an unprecedented dilemma. How do you continue filming a show called Sister Wives when the sister wives have left, the husband is banned from the central property, and court records suggest significant portions of previous content were staged? The network hasn't officially announced the show's future, but industry insiders suggest serious conversations are happening about whether continuing the series is even viable, let alone ethical. The fifth wife allegations add another layer of complexity. If that relationship is verified and that person comes forward, the entire Sister Wives narrative requires rewriting. Everything viewers thought they understood about family dynamics, time distribution, and financial strain gets recontextualized. Kody wasn't just struggling to balance 4 marriages. He may have been juggling 5 while letting only 4 exist on camera. For the ex-wives, the legal victory represents closure that reality TV rarely provides. They walked into court as women who'd been told they didn't understand finances, were too emotional about money, and were responsible for the family's dysfunction. They walked out with a judge's ruling validating every concern they'd raised, that vindication matters beyond the financial implications. What comes next? Possibly more revelations as court documents become public record, maybe additional legal action if the financial investigation uncovers more irregularities, definitely continued internet analysis as the Sister Wives sisterhood processes what this means for plural marriage representation in media. But right now, in this moment, 3 women who were financially exploited for years just proved that documentation, coordination, and determination can defeat even the most carefully constructed manipulation system. Do you think investigators will uncover even bigger financial surprises as this case continues? And which legal move has you cheering the loudest? The Coyote Pass ban, Robyn's confession, or the ex-wives united testimony? Tap like, hit subscribe, keep notifications on. A fresh video is already queued up, and something tells me the next round of Sister Wives revelations will be even juicier than the last.